Hello everyone, you're welcome to this week's Tech Tuesdays webinar on EDC 10.5.x, Advanced Scanner Overview and Best Practices. I'm Brinda, your host for today's session, and today we have with us Avanish Srivastava, Principal Technologist, and Rakesh Verma, Principal Solutions Architect from the Customer Success team. Before we start the session, let's go through some housekeeping tips. This webinar is for 1 hour that includes a 15 minutes Q&A. You can post your queries in the Q&A box. Dial-in participants are muted for the entire session. The session is being recorded and will be available in the Informatica Support YouTube channel and the Success portal. You'll be able to download the slide deck from the Success portal. Also, please feel free to put in your feedbacks and suggestions for the session in the post-webinar survey. The Tech Tuesdays webinars are hosted within the Success portal, which is a micro-learning platform that offers free and unlimited learning to all registered users. This feature-rich platform was launched to help you learn and use Informatica products better. Here are a few important links that you can go over later that will help you in your product adoption journey with Informatica. Over to you, Avanish and Rakesh. Thank you.
Thank you, Brinda. Hi, everyone. This is Avanish Srivastava. And this is the agenda we have today for our session. So we'll start with the introduction, a brief introduction of metadex scanner or advanced scanner. And then we'll go into the overview and high-level architecture walkthrough. Then we'll talk about the key concepts of metadex scanners, which you should be aware of if you're planning to use the product. Then we'll get into the scanning process on a higher level, like how you should go about while setting up a scanner in EDC in general. And then the disaster recovery setup is something I have added to just explain how you could make advanced scanner installation supporting disaster recovery site as well. So it would require certain design consideration. That's what we're talking about today. And then we'll go to the best practices and reference material section today. So the best practices is basically the field experience or the general challenges we see at customers. So we have just called out a few things, how you should be setting up your metadex scanner environment. And the reference material is basically a slide with all the links to the content, which can be very helpful. These content is actually knowledge-based articles or how-to videos or product documentation. But I would definitely recommend you, keeping those handy if you're planning to use the product. And then we'll jump into the demo part where my colleague Rakesh today is going to take us through the scanning process for Snowflake and Power BI. We'll talk about the scanning of metadata, scanning of procedures, bringing in the profiling results and showing the lineage and whatnot. And last section is the Q&A. And feel free to type in your questions during the session as well. We will respond to the chat. So with that, let me jump to the next slide I have here today. So basically, from a quick overview perspective, like metadex scanners, and I should call it out at this point. So in starting 10.5.2, we have renamed the advanced scanner a bit, or I won't say renamed, but yeah, the metadex scanner is what it is generally called now. All the documentation is updated accordingly. There is a FAQ knowledge-based article which I have attached to this presentation today. You will find that link in the slide which I have, so you can go through that and understand what is changed. But basically, practically nothing has changed. It's just to avoid the confusion, like what is paid, what is not. So metadex scanner is not paid all the time. I mean, if you're setting up a Snowflake scanner without procedures or a Power BI scanner, that's all out of the box. But if you go into the, like a procedures scanning or going into some other, vendor CTL tool, that's where it's going to act as the advanced scanner. So go through that knowledge-based article. There's nothing changed practically, but it's just how we are calling things in the documentation and the UI. But the capability, right? I mean, to understand it better, right? I mean, uh, the ability to understand the data, through the lineage is not complete unless we bring in the line codes like scripts, the multi-vendor ETLs or the legacy systems metadata, and that is where not many vendors in the market are having that broad connectivity as Informatica offers. So with the acquisition of this compact solution company, it's been, I guess, close to 2 years now, I believe. We have augmented our scanner portfolio, and that's where metadex came into existence into Informatica journey. So with this scanner approach, you can extend the default metadata import capabilities of a data catalog, various type of metadata sources, and we are adding more with every version already. So it could be things like stored procedures or codes or some multi-vendor ETL code. So all those things are supported, and the end-to-end lineage information is made available through this powerful product offering of metadex, right? So when we look at the architecture, I have abstracted the EDC installation here because that will be a more complicated architecture diagram. And I have done a Tech Tuesday webinar on EDC architecture, so you can refer for more details on EDC architecture. But in terms of metadex architecture, it's pretty straightforward. It's a Java-based application, and it gets installed when you install Informatica 10.5. So you don't have to like do it separately. You can. There are ways, and I have put a article for that. But we recommend this to be installed along with the installation process of Informatica 10.5. Now, the different components within that is metadex binaries is the first one, which is basically the binaries which comes along with the product installer. Workspace is another key component of installation. You have to set up the workspace, which is where all the registries, connection registries, and jars will go. You should set up an environment variable for that. That's a must-have. Metadex UI is powered by this application, so you can log into the UI, and that is where you will configure all these metadex scanners. And we require a backend database as well, which is going to act as the repository database for metadex. And as you can see, the metadex application seamlessly connects to the catalog service through REST API, so you don't have to really create any connection. You configure things in metadex UI, and it will be reflected in the EDC UI automatically. So with that, let me jump to the other key concepts which I wanted to talk about today. So when you start using the metadex UI, the first thing you need to understand is the concept of projects, and it's no different than the other general tools we have. Projects is a logical group of configurations and variables put together, and you can control permissions at the project level. So when you create a project, I guess you just need to put in the configurations which like different configurations could be put up within the same project, and you can control the permissions as well. Configuration is the most important part of the setup, because when you are about to scan a new metadata resource using metadex, you have to come to the UI and set up a configuration, which is nothing but the set of parameters like the connection details, what information you are planning to extract from the system, what filters do you want to apply. All those things goes into the configuration area, and you can create the configuration in the UI to extract metadata from the supported data sources. There are different options in the configuration based on the type of metadata source you choose. Now, connection registry is important thing to understand. Basically, this stores the information about the database objects such as the table, definition, or synonym. So when the metadex scanner parses the code, right, it's going to look for all those tables or views, which are used in the code. And that is where it's going to use the connection registry. So the registry is where the metadex is going to look for information about all these things. And it can be found in the MD repo folder in your workspace. And there are different ways to, create the connection registry. It should follow the hierarchy. In the demo, I believe you'll say the connection registry being set up as well. And in the documentation, we have covered like how you can create connection with registry, how you can add more details to it. So conversion path is basically, this is a call you have to make based on the scanner. So we have different conversion paths available. And there's a predefined set of conversion paths which are already built in. So like if you're scanning an Oracle database through a live connection, then you'll choose the conversion path of advanced database objects to EDC. If you're scanning Power BI, then your conversion path will be Microsoft Power BI to EDC. In 10.5.2, we have added a new way to bring in Salesforce applications metadata. That is where you can use Salesforce to EDC conversion path as well. But these are some of the key things, which you will need to set up right away when you're planning to set up the resources in metadex UI. Now, with that, I'll go to the scanning strategy. More concepts around the scanning or more deep dive details will be available via demo. Now, scanning strategy. So basically, it's a very high level approach I'm calling here. Whenever you are about to scan something, you have to first identify your metadata source, of course. What is it you're going to scan? There are cases where we have a deprecated approach available through the standard scanner, but we recommend you to choose the metadex scanner approach because that is going to have more and more features coming in, will bring in better information from the source system, and will be supported in the long run as well. So the second call here is like, do you really need the metadex scanner? So if yes, then you have to identify the conversion path. Like if it's Power BI, then you'll say Microsoft Power BI to EDC. If it is Snowflake, then you'll say Advanced Database Objects to EDC. And then you have to group the input into logical parts. This is important because when you're setting up the resource, you may want to make a call that, okay, what all content are you going to bring in, right? And set up the connection, which means, provide the connectivity details and everything. Configuration is also, being done. It's all part of the configuration basically. And then execute the scanner job in metadex side. And when you run the scanner, the first time it might give you some errors. So you should go to the logs, and the logs are pretty intuitive in the metadex UI. So you'll see what failed, what succeeded. And then once it is good and ready, of course, the results will be available in the EDC catalog if you choose to directly ingest the metadex results into the EDC. And clearly, if you don't need the metadex scanner, then of course you can simply go to EDC LDM admin UI, EDC admin UI, and set up the scanner there. So with that, let me, and as I said, the scanning strategy based on the specific data source, it might change. So that's where the demo will be helpful, but based on what you scan, there will be specific call you have to make. One thing I wanted to call out is that when you set up the configuration, there are different modes, which is where you can apply filters, choose memory of the scanner for better performance. So you have to toggle between the basic mode, advanced mode, or expert mode in the metadex UI and fill in those properties. Now let's talk about the DR setup approach I was mentioning. So disaster recovery, I mean, it requires some manual work for you to set up. But let's say if you have decided to go with the EDC disaster recovery, then you want the metadex system also to be disaster recovery, compliant. So with that, we have, basically two approaches which are not too different from each other. Basically, what we are saying is in approach one is that, of course, your UI is powered through the underlying server. So that is going to be there. and there may be a primary domain and the DR domain, and you have to install metadex on both the locations, and the binaries will be on both places. The scanners workspace folder, which is where the connection registry and the JDBC jars and those things will be available. That is something you can mount through a shared file system, which is highly available. So even if the node 1 goes down, that location is available and it is accessible from the other node. And the database, repository database, that should be, of course, available in case of disaster recovery. It should have its own HA or DR process setup. So this is how, like when, but the thing to note here is that you cannot have an active sort of setup. It will be running on one node at a time. So when situation of disaster recovery happens, you'll have to start the service on the node 2. You'll have to make sure that through the host name property, you are using the same host name so that the users are not, or you can use the load balancer actually to ensure that the URL and those things do not change. There is a KB article on this which has more details, so I have called that out as well. Now this approach 2 is no different than the approach 1, except the fact that, let's say if you do not have a shared file or mounted file system which is accessible to both nodes, then you could just simply do a database, a file replication from primary node to the DR node. Now, as I mentioned, we do have a KB article in the reference slide in this section, so do refer to the article if you want to set this up for more details. Now, going back to the deployment best practices section. So I have called out a bunch of things right here. So the first thing to ensure is that you have enough resources available for the metadex service process. So when you install it along with the other services running on Informatica node, you may want to ensure that you have enough cores and memory available for the metadex resources to run. Sizing guide has these details called out. So, and we have put the sizing guide link into the reference section. Setting up scanner workspace folder, the second item in our list here, that is also important to understand because the scanner workspace, as we just saw in the disaster recovery setup too, if we keep it outside of the Informatica, binaries installation folder, if you put it on a shared drive, of course, it supports you on the DR and all. But even if you keep it outside of the Informatica binaries folder, then it is going to be, it's not going to be impacted when you do the upgrade. Because during the upgrade, we generally move to newer binary directories and your scanner workspace needs to be manually copied over in case you upgrade to a newer version. So keep it outside of the Informatica installation binaries. Now, one of the things which we see specifically, I've seen in the Oracle systems and all, like if you're scanning procedures and all using the advanced scanner system, then do not scan the procedures in the standard scanner to avoid the duplicate entities. It would just be a, it's not gonna like block your views of lineage and all, but it will just not be nice to have. You should just see the procedures coming from the advanced scanner and not from the standard scanner. Reviewing the logs in metadex UI to ensure that errors are taken care of. I'm calling this out because you can keep this as a practice, before you onboard content into EDC, you can ensure that the logs in metadex UI is showing that the scanning is completed successfully. Password encryption should be leveraged to secure your credentials. And the 3 modes in the configuration, expert, basic, and advanced, they should be leveraged to add all those, additional properties in your configuration. It requires some knowledge of the source system to use these options effectively, but things like, memory settings and all, they could be done through that. And there are many other settings as well. So when you basically toggle between the expert, basic, and advanced mode, you can see that how, different options are showing up on the screen. Choosing the scanner memory rightly is important because you can do that in a more advanced mode. And based on the amount of metadata you expect, you should choose the right memory. Use the set up the HTTPS URL that is very easily configurable. You have to go to the server.properties file on metadex server, and this HTTPS URL is for the metadex UI. And one of the things to note is always, whenever you are about to scan a data source, ensure that you have looked at the product availability matrix, which is available on our network.informatica.com website, and ensure that the version and those things which you are about to extract is all supported. So EDC data sources is a tab within the product availability matrix. That's where you can see all these different data sources and our support statement for that. Now with that, I am coming to the reference slide section. This is where, I just want to give a quick one-liner on all of these. So the metadex scanner administrator guide, this is the new name, by the way, in 10.5.2. That's here. The scanner configuration guide is called out here. And if you go to these guides, there are very detailed documentation available based on the resource you want to scan. And the scanner reference is where you can also see more information. Configuring metadex in a multi-node setup DR, that's the one I was talking about. This KB article you can exercise if you want to set up DR for metadex. FAQs on the name update. So as I mentioned in 10.5.2, the naming has been changed a bit. Metadex scanners are now called as metadex, and advanced scanner is something which you have to pay for. And that's the reason why we did it all explained in this knowledge base article. Sizing and performance tuning recommendation. This is another document which is available, and you should always refer, while setting up the new environment so that you have enough resources available. Now there are two new video KBs or how-to articles, published through our support channel on YouTube. One is on how to configure advanced scanner in EDC. Basically, that's just going to cover everything, all details, like how you should set up the backend files and how you should install things and how you should secure your, how you should choose a specific port. All those things are called out in this video. And then there is a very nice video done on the Microsoft Power BI scanner as well through the different approaches. And it also talks about how you can set things on the Power BI side too. And last but not the least is that if you want to install advanced scanner post the EDC installation, then that is also something you can do with this article. Basically, it shows you how you can create the properties file and just call it to run the advanced scanner after the EDC 10.5 installation. Let's say for some reason you had not installed it earlier. So that's this document. And with this, I am now coming to the demo and the Q&A section. So the first thing will be demo, of course. Rakesh is going to walk us through the different items we have for demo. So over to you, Rakesh, and thanks everyone. Thank you.
So let me start from the back end. So how the advanced scanner post installation, how it looks, and what is the difference between workspace folder and then scanner folder. So let me quickly come to the home folder and do a view on the bash profile. So there are these two environment variables have to be set up post your installation of advanced scanner. So there are two folders created. One folder will have the binaries, which we call it as scanner home. Whatever installation you have done, all the binaries, jar files are extracted into this folder. There is one more folder called scanner workspace, where your working content, whatever configurations you are creating, properties you are setting, all those content will be stored in the scanner workspace. Let me quickly log into scanner home. So in Scanner Home, as I said, the installation folder, the important folder, couple of important folders you have. Okay, I think I haven't gone inside. Hold on a minute. Yeah, now I'm inside the folder. Okay, these are the files created post your installation of your advanced scanner. Here, a couple of folders will be of your interest. So one will be your EDC, where you will be having your property files. Repository property files is the file which will be having the details to connect to the repository database which you have used as part of your installation. Scanner properties will have the properties which can be used for setting or enabling a specific feature in the scanner. Now let me come back to the home folder. $, scanners underscore workspace. So in this is a folder where your working directory, whatever repositories or configurations you are creating, that will get stored here. So the important folder here is, again, let us go into the etc folder. etc folder has got two files. One is server properties and one is got repository properties. The server properties, whenever you enable SSL, secure communication within advanced scanner, this is the file where you are going to set up the properties. The repository properties is the same file, whatever we have seen in the etc folder of the scanner home, which will be having connection details to the server. Now you can start the server from scanner home. Okay, now once we are here, we can start using nohop out to record all your log files. Okay, to start a server, you can use nohop space rsh, and you can use server.sh, and you can put ampersand, which will run in background mode, and all log will be created. Okay, when you want to stop it, you can do server.sh and stop command you can use. I have already started the service. The service has already started and running. Let us quickly log into the front end web page. So this is the home page where you're going to land in once you log into the advanced scanner. Here, let me go through quickly. The projects is the folder or a workspace where you can create your own projects and create the required configurations. That is about projects. And then in these repositories is used. So these are the different repositories files, which executables which are created. Now let us go to administration. So administration is where you are going to create. Here will be of interest permissions and management. If you onboard multiple users, how you want to provide permissions, and you can what on the projects or on the what kind of privileges you want to do. So this is where which all the projects you want to assign. You can play with set this up here. The connection registry is the where you are going to set up your connections. So in this demo today, I'm going to talk about Snowflake and Power BI. So whatever connection for Snowflake, you need to set up you can set up the connection and you can reuse the connection if you are going to create multiple configurations. And you can create global variables just to make sure that you are not using these values. You don't need to fill these values again and again in multiple configurations. Once you create global variables, you can just call the variables with the global variable name. Now there is a feature is enabled, like you can encrypt the password, whatever password you are giving for your enterprise data catalog or any other connections. Okay, there is a button here. I have encrypted it. That is the reason it is disabled. Okay, you can put your actual password here and click on encrypt. It will get encrypted and it will get internally decrypted as and when connection happens. Now let us go back to quickly to the projects and let us talk about the two configurations which I have set up for as part of this demo. First, let us go to the Power BI scanner. Okay, so if you see, if you might have observed, okay, you will be able to set up any specific conversion path or a configuration in different modes: basic, advanced, and expert. The difference is the kind of parameters filterings are will be even more comprehensive when you move from basic to advanced, advanced to expert. That is a main benefit. Once you can start initial configuration as a basic, and you can explore advanced and expert to ensure to do a better configuration and tuning of your configuration, tuning of your scanner. Now let me cancel it. Quickly go to Power BI. So this is the Power BI setup, scanner setup, which is already done. Just passing MD repo. And you are going to give Power BI connections will happen through REST API call, the REST API URL you are going to give, and the account which you have which has got admin access. Basically, that is a prerequisite. Whenever you want to fire a REST API in Power BI, that is a prerequisite. You should have an account which has an admin access. And once you create that, you will have a client ID which you can get it from your Power BI administrator. Put the details here. And then at last you can push this mapping and they push this configuration of the extract content to a via REST API into EDC, or you can push it you can save it in the local server. Both the options are available. Here it is pushed into the EDC via REST API, EDC REST API call. Now let me quickly move into Snowflake. In the Snowflake, let me edit this and let me extract this. So here, this is a filter which will allow you to select or the required objects you want to extract into EDC. So you can extract. So with the license you have, based on the license you have, the license metadex scanner license. Without license, if you are using Snowflake extraction, you will be able to extract only views and database assets. If you want to extract stored procedures and triggers, you need to have a license, paid license, to get the procedures extracted and lineage painted in your EDC. Now, if as I said to you, this basic configuration will give you the amount of parameters you can pass to a Snowflake scan to the Snowflake source will be varying. Now, if I change it to advanced, so you will get some more extra properties which can be used. So here, if you come, so here the read, it says it's a connection, and we are giving the list of properties, and we are including. This is a connection name. Snowflake is the connection name. This is the database name. Okay, and after the database, I have kept star. That means we are going to extract any object in this database. Okay, if you want to exclude for any testing purpose, some failures have happened during your scanner extraction, you want to skip those objects, you can use this object exclude filter, and you can filter out any specific objects which might be of not interest or which might be causing failure of the jobs. In the same way, you can push it to the EDC. This configuration is same. Now, once this is done from 10.5.1, you don't need to set up these properties. The URLs will be added to EDC extracted metadata in EDC. I will show it in a minute. Now, one more thing, if you want to check the licenses, you just click on help and click on license. So this whatever licenses you are entitled, the license key which you have uploaded in catalog service, this will show you the entitlement of your license once you have applied the license. Let me cancel this one. Now I have already run this Snowflake and Power BI scanner. Okay, Snowflake is going to extract this database. I have already connected to the Snowflake from DB Visualizer, and it is connecting to this database, and then it is connecting to this schema. So here there are multiple tables. I have done profiling, and then I have done data domain discovery, and I also made sure that lineage is extracted from a procedure and views. Now from Power BI front, the output of a specific Snowflake table has been used to develop this report. Okay, this is the data set which is created in Power BI, and this is a report this is the data, and this is the report which is created, and this report has been uploaded into the workspace in Power BI server using this admin, which I have shown you while showing the configuration of advanced scanner. Now let me move into actual the output, what is the output extracted into EDC. So for doing profiling, if you want to do profiling on Snowflake, you need to create a connection, basically Snowflake connection. Once you create this Snowflake connection, then only you'll be able to do profiling and data domain discovery. Now let me go into a catalog administrator. Okay, so I have logged into catalog administrator. Let us see the resources that are created here. So let us quickly validate the Snowflake resource. So this resource, once you have run your advanced scanner, metadex scanner, okay, this resource will get created over a REST API call in EDC. Now, for initial setup, it will for the first run, it will be only metadata and lineage extraction resource. You will not be able to do profiling. On the second run, you need to open this resource and do the modifications, enable your data discovery and mark the profiling, and then you can do profiling and data domain discovery and set up the required parameters here. Once you set this up, okay, you can save this, but you cannot run. You need to run one more time the advanced scanner. That will pick up your discovery jobs, including profiling. If you see here, it is showing it has fetched 43 objects from Snowflake. Okay, and it is showing what are the different jobs submitted while doing data discovery. Now, once this is successfully done, we can go back into LDM catalog, okay, and check the results, how it is coming. Now let me get the Snowflake resource first. So this is the Snowflake resource which I have created. Which we have created through advanced scanner. It has extracted the overview of the Snowflake. It has extracted multiple objects. Okay, let us first validate how it looks for a view, how view got extracted into EDC. Now, if you see, these are the columns and some data domain discovery has happened. Okay, and then this is the profiling results of the view. Now let us click on lineage and impact. Okay, lineage has been painted. Basically, this is the base table and this is the view definition. Let us flip to the classic view. Okay, flip to the classic view. Okay, let me click on the relationship while the lineage is having some problem to load. So this view is related to a employee table. Okay, and also this view is also related to a data domain. Let me refresh the page. I think I have some slowness in my internet. Let me click on lineage and impact again. Okay, let me flip to classic view. Now it is loading. Okay, this is a simple view which is extracting columns from a base table and putting into the view. Okay, now if you want to see this lineage in more comprehensive way, you can go back to the columns. Okay, and click on any of these columns. Okay, and click on system attributes. One second, let me go back to cross view tab, overview, system attributes. So this is the view definition which is extracted into EDC. On top of it, if there is if the object is a lineage enabled object, you will see a URL here. Just click on the URL. You will be getting the a lineage from metadex UI. Just double click on it. Here there are two options on the rightmost corner. One is all and no all clearance and no clear. Now, if you want a summary kind of lineage, you can go with the first this option. And if you want to go see a detailed one, you just need to check this option. Once you double click on it, you can click on any object here. You will be able to see what the fields involved here. And then click on this title. So how? Now let us move on to the procedure extracted. Let us validate the procedure which is extracted in EDC. Let us go back to the home. Home. And filter for a table now. Let us filter for this procedure which is extracted into EDC. Uncheck this filter, okay, and click on this procedure. Once you click on this procedure, you will be able to further drill down the procedure and you will be able to see the lineage. Now, once you click on this system line, this is the line item, okay, expand the system attributes. You will be able to see there is a merge statement and you will be able to see the hyperlink again to the metadex screen. Here in the same way, double click on this, you will be able to extract the lineage and how the join is happening, what are the transformations are used. You will be getting much more detailed view in metadex. I'm just showing you so that you can reuse a feature for better using the product. Now let us flip back and check the lineage which is coming into EDC, actual lineage which is coming into. Let us replace this object with the actual table that has got updated here. This is the table, output table, which the procedure has updated. This procedure has updated these three columns and we have extracted profiling and we have enabled, we have classified the objects under domains. And if there are keys, it is showing that it has got constraint key. Okay, and now let us click on lineage and impact. Once you click on the lineage impact, it is showing from the table. From this table, the data has got updated into a products table, and that product table has used in a Power BI report. Let us flip it to classic view. Now this is a simple lineage. Okay, you can call it a summary lineage. I'll increase the impact. It will add more levels in the lineage. Let me maximize the impact. Okay, this is the lineage. Now let us see what is the logic used. So this is the logic. This is the stored procedure. This is from Snowflake system. This is from Power BI. This PBA first one is the data set which is showing, and second one is the Power BI report. Now let us see the logic between the table and the source table and the target table. It is a procedure basically. Okay, and this is the logic used. Now let us feed back to update products and expand the columns. We'll check the lineage at the column level. Now this is also, once you expand it to the column level, if you have observed from Power BI front, you are able to see only the data set. The report object has gone. The reason is Microsoft REST API has got a limitation that Microsoft REST API is able to respond and send the details at attribute level only up to the data set used in the Power BI report. At report level attributes, the REST API is not able to send. So you'll be able to see the end-to-end lineage up to Power BI report at a summary level, at data set level. When you want to see at attribute level, you will be able to see the lineage only at up to the Power BI data set attribute level. Now let us check the relationships. So this table is whatever data domains are classified, this table is related to this, and you can add reviews and you can add ratings to it. Comments, questions can also be added, and then questions can also be added. This is part of EDC curation, so that the technical objects will add more value, and someone who is cataloging for this specific object will have better understanding where this is used, how this is used. Okay, so this is done now. Okay, so that's it for today. Let me hand over this for Q&A session. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Hello everyone. If you have any questions, please post them in the Q&A box. We'll try and answer them. Over to you, Avanish.
Thank you, Vrinda. So I see a question, and Hari's already helped typing the answer. But what is visible in the lineage for Power BI? So based on the API which is exposed by Microsoft, right, we have processed those responses, and what you see as lineage is basically on a dataset level. Power BI dataset level, you can see the detailed lineage to the attribute end as well. But on the reports level or the dashboard level, you'll see the lineage at the data set level. So I think Rakesh did cover that in the session, but Rakesh, if you want to add anything on top of it, please feel free.
So on top of it, yeah, Avanish, there are some improvements in progress basically. You can download the latest build of advanced scanners from in network portal of Informatica. So product management team is addressing a few of the complex functions and Power Queries and Power Query specific functionality they are adding, so that those logic can also be extracted into EDC.
Thank you.
That is in progress. Yeah.
Perfect. Good to know. Now, there is a question that does the Power BI free scanner support Power BI for government cloud? I mean, if EDC server can access it, it should be supported. If not, there is a way in Power BI scanner that you can actually use the JSON file imported from Power BI through the REST API call. Basically, you have to use something like Postman or something to download the metadata in a JSON and scan that JSON. Let's say if you're not able to make the connection, then you could get the metadata into that JSON file and use that JSON instead of a live connection. But as long as the access is supported from EDC server, we can scan it. If government cloud servers are not allowing your server to connect, then that's a different thing, and that's where you can use a little bit of remote scan feature, which I mentioned here, like going through the JSON approach. There's a question Hari has already answered. Does the advanced scanner UI requires metadex installation? Yes, it does. Advanced scanner for Power BI have additional cost is a question. Or it does not require additional cost, the Power BI scanner. So the question from Rogerio, I believe, yeah, that is answered. Thank you. Advanced scanner for airflow. No, we do not. We can check on the roadmap. We need to know a bit more about the source system. I have not used it much, but yeah, we can check on the roadmap and let you know. Maybe you can reach through the CSM or the GCS case for that. If a syntax cannot be recognized as the log shows the details which syntax is not understandable for the scanner. Yeah, I think the logs will go through the syntax. I mean, it depends on the type of scanner also, but you will see error at the minutest level. Someone maybe Thiru or someone, if you want to add something more on the log side, please feel free to chime in here. But that's what I think.
Sorry, Avinash, you were asking something?
No, I was just saying that there is a question on advanced scanner processing the syntax errors in the different scanners. So I think that information gets printed in the log, right?
Right. So when we get the debug logs from the advanced scanner UI for the run, we should be able to see the warning and also the detailed error. So that log, if a customer could share with the Informatica GCS, we will be able to troubleshoot for that.
Perfect. Yeah. A question: there are any other advanced scanner connection free to use? Well, yeah. I mean, Snowflake. Without the stored procedures, you can use for free. Power BI is one. Salesforce, I believe that version 2 is also released. That's also. So there are quite a few. I mean, but we should not be calling it advanced scanner anymore. They are metadex scanner in the new terminology. Whenever it is an advanced scanner, it's actually the ones which you have to pay for, and that's where we are actually going into the line codes and doing all those, fancy parsing of ETL or something. Okay, I see most of the questions in the chat is either answered or being answered. There's a question on how do we handle scenarios where we have multiple stored procedures in a config that use the same variable names but have different values, which must be set up in the default variable file. So I think for this one, if we are using same variable, let me just see, same variable name but have different variable values, which must be set up in the default variable file. For these, I believe we might need to do some curation. Thiru, do you have any idea on this one? I guess we might need more background. It's a bit more detailed, but this is more on the procedure side. On variable.
Which curation? Sorry, I missed the question. What is
So,
the curation?
so the question is, how do we handle scenarios where we have multiple stored procedures in a config that use the same variable names but have different values, which must be set up in the default variable file?
Okay. Yeah, this might require some additional analysis. Yeah, I think maybe this is better if it can be taken as a technical case to review further.
Exactly, that's what I think. Yeah, it requires some more, like background on this. Brian has a question. There are two levels: advanced scanner and metadex scanners. Well, yeah, I mean technically they are the same platform, but advanced scanner is where you need the license. Metadex scanners is what you can just use based on the way we showed the scanning strategy, right? Look at your scanner input and then decide you want to go with metadex scanner. And if you need advanced scanner, like any ETL tool from some other vendors in general, then you have to use it. But it's not like different installations. Practically, nothing has changed. We are just calling it in this terminology so that people don't get confused that, okay, whenever is an advanced scanner, do we have to pay for it? Like Power BI, you do not have to pay for it. Snowflake, if you are not using scanned stored procedures and all, you don't have to pay for it. So, yeah. There are two levels, yes, but one installation. All right. Along with the basic scanner, yes, marked out. What is the difference between advanced scanner and metadex scanner? So I want to, like call it out. In the reference slide, there are some very good links I have pasted. One of the knowledge base article is actually talking about all these FAQs about what is advanced scanner and metadex scanner with this new terminology in 10.5.2. So please look at that knowledge base article. But the difference is that metadex scanner and advanced scanner, they are both powered. Advanced scanner is basically, yeah, I mean, there are some examples, where there can be an advanced scanner on the EDC standard scanner side as well. Like for SAP, we have one. So advanced scanners are the one you have to like buy additional license for. Metadex scanner is the one which you could just use with the metadex scanner side. Please go through that knowledge base article because there are certain variations which I may not be calling out every time. So use that knowledge base article to understand all the FAQs on advanced scanner versus metadex scanner. Yes, okay. Something. EDC resource generated by metadex, can we scan those in EDC or it should be scanned in metadex? It's better to, it's good to run them from metadex side. Here is already typing in, I believe, yes. I believe there's a question, what is the limit of increase the time? It has to be timeout, I believe. So the timeout is actually making the connection. I believe generally it should be the EDC REST API connection. I don't know which context it is in, but yeah, the timeout is for the connection for metadex UI. How long will it try for? All right. If there are no more questions.
Thank you, Avanish.
Thank you.
Thank you, Avanish and Rakesh. Let's wait for one more minute before we can end the session. Before we end the session, just wanted to call out the webinar will be available in Informatica Support YouTube channel and the Success Portal, where you'll also be able to download the slide deck. Also, please feel free to put in your feedbacks and suggestions in our post-webinar survey. Over to you, Avanish. We have a few more questions.
Yes, yeah. So a question for SSL enabled metadex in 10.5.2, can we use same certificate that we have in? Yes, you can. We are not changing anything on the certificate side. Any support for MongoDB that can do, Thiru is typing in already. You said that, so there's a question that you said that Power BI scanning is on dataset level. So what would be the facet in Axon that would be set up for Power BI system? And okay, so when I said Power BI scanning at data set level, I mean, I think it may be from the demo. It will bring in the data set and it will bring in the attributes on report side, dashboard side as well. The lineage on attribute level detail, that is only supported at dataset level based on the API which we have from Microsoft. Now, when you go for onboarding into Axon from EDC, you can see actually, what all classes. If you go to the Axon's EDC UI where you set up the connection, right? You can see what all classes are supported. I believe not just dataset attribute, but more classes are supported. You might see tiles there and some other things as well, which you want to onboard. The thing with Axon is that you want to just document the, Power BI report on a higher level, data sets also, as well as report. So you can onboard both things, I believe. And it would be at a very, linear level. A data set would be created or versus a Power BI report or data set. And all the attributes or all the different visualization tips and tricks in Power BI, they will all be shown under the as attribute. I mean, you will not see like the dashboard and multi-facets like dashboard, worksheets, workbooks. Like in Tableau, I know it is this way. So please look into the Axon UI. You will see all the supported classes. In the documentation also we have called out the classes. But yeah, the Power BI that would be set up here. System and data set and not attributes. The attributes will go into Axon though. You can map them. Maybe we can do a different session for a general report onboarding from be it Tableau or Power BI to Axon, just to explain that better from a concept perspective. All right.
Thank you, Avanish. Thank you. Unfortunately, we are on top of the hour and we need to end the session now. Hope we have answered all the questions. If we have failed to answer any of the questions, we'll get back to you right after the session. Thank you for joining us. Also, thank you, Avanish, Rakesh, Hari, and Thiru for setting aside some time for the Tech Tuesdays. Thanks a lot. See you on our next Tech Tuesdays. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. We can